Tonight, the state of Conestoga's finances. Deadline day for a highly anticipated update in a year of college cuts and falling enrollment. Arrests in a fatal shooting in Kitchener.
Recently, we've had some movement in this investigation. We've conducted 2 arrests.
New developments in the investigation into a deadly incident at a tiny home community. A local case of a horse virus.
The concern is that this particular virus can cause quite severe human illness.
The lowdown on triple EV and what health authorities say we should all know about it. Good evening. In a year of sweeping cuts and falling international enrollment, we are about to get a fresh glimpse at the state of Conestoga College's finances. 1 year ago today, they reported a surplus of more than $250 million. CTV's Karis Mapp keeping an eye on this story for us and joining us live now. Karis, we should note this update is due today. The college still hasn't provided it, and it certainly is a highly anticipated update.
That's absolutely right, Tony. This is the day all Ontario colleges have to update their financial pictures. The union representing staff at Conestoga, already highly critical of the school's finances and administration salaries, is eagerly waiting to see the numbers. The financial state of Conestoga College under scrutiny this year after a sharp drop in international enrollment and cuts to staff and services. Just this week, the union representing college workers told us it was eager to hear where things stand.
We don't know where things are at right now, so we can't even say that the cuts that were made to our job force were supported.
The Ontario Public Service Employees Union demanding transparency after the college reported a nearly $252 million surplus last year, which Conestoga defended as a one-time situation after it recorded the highest international enrollment across Canadian colleges prior to Ottawa's cap on foreign student visas. The figure also drawing sharp criticism at the time from some politicians.
Running a surplus of $252 million is sizable.
Since then, the college has made sweeping cuts, including 180 staff positions and not renewing leases for 2 satellite campuses in Brantford and Kitchener. OPSU has also been criticizing the salaries of executives, with Conestoga's president last year pulling in more than $630,000. Today's update also expected to provide a more fulsome picture on enrollment. This week, Conestoga said international enrollment was down more than 60% in the spring semester. The college has said it doesn't expect to be in a similar surplus situation this year. As I said before, today is the deadline, but we're still awaiting a response for Conestoga's report. When I reached out to the school earlier, a spokesperson confirmed that the report is set to become public today. They weren't able to give a time and said no person from the school would be available for comment. If it's posted within the next hour, we will be sure to bring you an update. Tony.
Okay, we'll follow that story tonight. Karis, thank you. CTV's Karis Mapp joining us live. And as Conestoga's finances are in focus, we are also learning the college is putting construction of a new downtown Guelph campus on hold. A Conestoga spokesperson confirming to CTV News today that all work is being deferred at the 130 Macdonnell Street location. This is formerly known as the Cooperators headquarters. Conestoga purchased the building back in 2023. The school's spokesperson adds, quote, "The college remains committed and will proceed when student enrollment allows." Well, coming up later in the show, red ink at the London area's public school board, which is dealing with a deficit of more than $30 million. We'll have a report on that situation coming up in about 15 minutes. 2 people have been arrested in a fatal shooting in Kitchener that happened last November. That's when police were called to a better tent city and found a man suffering with a gunshot wound. The 39-year-old died in the hospital. Today, police sharing details about the arrests they've now made in this case.
Recently, we've had some movement in this investigation. We've conducted 2 arrests. A 19-year-old male from Kitchener has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Another male, a 22-year-old from Ottawa, has been charged with accessory after the fact. At this point, the investigation is ongoing by our major crime unit. We are continuing to ask anyone with information to contact investigators, or if they wish to remain anonymous, to contact Crime Stoppers.
Now, investigators believe the people involved in this knew each other and that it was targeted. And we also have an update on an arrest in a shooting in Waterloo, a third suspect in a targeted shooting that happened earlier this year. This was April the 25th near University Avenue and Weber Street. No one was injured in that shooting. And at the time, a 15-year-old boy and 25-year-old man, both from Halton region, were arrested and charged with weapons offenses. Yesterday, police arrested a 24-year-old Kitchener man believed to be connected to the shooting. He was held in custody for a bail hearing. All right, time for a first check on the weather. Let's head over to Ashley Bacon in studio now. Wearing many hats today, but we always love having you on set for 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I don't know if I was expecting the level of smoke we saw outside there today. The air quality kind of took a nosedive.
Absolutely, Tony. It was much cooler conditions today, below seasonal, which I think a lot of people were pretty happy about, including yourself, I'm sure. But unfortunately, the smoke and haze lingering from the wildfires out west has now moved into our region and will continue to be here for at least the next few hours into this evening and potentially into tomorrow. Environment Canada issuing this special air quality statement for the day. You know, it's one of those things where you have to monitor your own symptoms. If you're starting to have some eye, nose, throat irritation, some coughs, you want to be careful and definitely get some medical help if that's occurring. Looking at our satellite, though, we can see that band of cloud cover moving through the east side of our area and will continue to move as we get into the weekend, hopefully clearing out some of that smoke and haze. Right now, though, Tony, we're sitting at 23 degrees, very comfortable compared to those hot, humid days. But I'll have a look at what we can expect for our long weekend coming up a little later.
Nice to have some relief from that heat. Love it. Okay, Ash, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you. A horse in Wellington County has been diagnosed with the area's first case of Eastern equine encephalitis virus, or EEV. It is a rare mosquito-borne illness that mainly affects horses and poses a low risk to humans. CTV's Alexandra Hollick has been looking into this and joins us live with more details. Alexandra, what are some of the symptoms we're talking about here?
Fever, headache, nausea, vomiting, and behavioral changes, Tony. And while it does pose a low risk to humans, serious cases can be life-threatening. Now, this is the first confirmed case of EEV in a horse in Wellington, Dufferin, Guelph, and no human cases have ever been reported in the region. It comes after 2 cases of West Nile virus. Another mosquito-borne illness was discovered in a pair of dead birds in Guelph and Waterloo region, respectively. In this case of EEV, health officials say people need to be aware and stay protected.
This particular virus can cause quite severe human illness. Compared to West Nile, for example, there's a much higher likelihood of getting severely sick, a much higher rate of death associated with it. This is a virus that can cause infection of the brain and the tissues around the brain, what we call encephalitis. And people who get that often require hospital or even ICU level care. Even those who survive one of these infections are often left with significant, sometimes permanent challenges with their neurological function. It is not an infection to take lightly.
Welcome back, and our apologies once again. Thank you for your patience during another technical issue that forced us into a commercial break there in our first block of the newscast. But let's continue bringing you tonight's news now. Premier Doug Ford says the province is throwing everything it has at dozens of active wildfires in northern Ontario. But he says what's really needed is a national strategy.
So when we were at the Council of Federation last week in Muskoka, this came up that we need a national fire strategy because we know when the floods are coming, we know when the fires are coming, and we need to be prepared. So I'll do anything for our great firefighters and invest as much as we can to make sure that we have the equipment to knock out these fires as quickly as they can come.
As of this afternoon, the province is reporting 52 active wildfires in northern Ontario, including 3 new fires reported last night alone. And a large fire has destroyed a major employer in the town of Dutton, southwest of London. It broke out shortly before 10 o'clock last night. CTV's Sean Irvin has reaction and the dramatic video.
A car dealership in the heart of small-town southwestern Ontario sits in ruins. The flames over Cotrac Ford, Lincoln and Dutton dominated the night sky late Wednesday. At least 50 firefighters from 5 departments responded.
You could just see the flames coming through the smoke, and like they just couldn't get a handle on all the flames coming through. It was just crazy. Like you would just see it die down and then just huge flames engulf it.
The deputy chief tells CTV News London firefighters entered the building with only smoke showing, but it was not long before they were overcome by heat.
They came down, second crew went in afterwards, and then they were chased out by the ceiling falling down. And at that time, I pulled everybody out, and we went defensive.
One firefighter sustained a shoulder injury as he fled. He was treated at hospital and released. Meanwhile, the battle against the flames raged until 3 a.m., with police officers aiding in the evacuation of 2 nearby apartment buildings.
Because when the fire got going through the back, it got into the trees, and the departments are pretty close.
With hotspots flaring up into the morning, the site remained under police barricades and roadblocks. The Ontario Fire Marshal's office is investigating. Damage to the building, plus 4 new and 1 vintage vehicle, is expected to run into the millions. Cotrac Ford has been part of this community for nearly a century. Its sudden loss hits hard with members of the Corneal family, which owns the business. Approximately 25 people work for the dealership.
It's one of our major employers in town.
Dunwich Mayor Mike Hentz is thankful no one was seriously hurt, but makes it clear the town has suffered a loss.
Well, bad things happen, and we'll just have to work through this, and we will overcome this.
For some, this blaze has brought back the memory of a huge fire in Dutton 2 decades ago that took out this huge swath of the downtown. They worry this fire could also leave a hole in the heart of the community.
We have been through this before, and it is another void on our main street.
Although it was hard for him to speak about it, Cotrac's legacy owner Phil Corneal did make 2 pledges. The first to his customers and his community.
Well, we do plan to rebuild.
The other in gratitude to responders.
I'm really impressed with what the firefighters did. They really tried.
While firefighters finalized the cause of the blaze, Gregory believes it started in the showroom's south corner. In Dutton, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
Police in Toronto have arrested an 81-year-old woman in a fatal hit and run involving an e-scooter. CTV's Allison Hurst has the latest on that investigation.
Lillian Nagy was on her way home from a friend's house when she was struck by a car and killed.
I'm going to miss her with all my heart. And she would have been 65 in December.
Alex Nagy, her younger brother, says she retired 2 years ago.
She was just a wonderful young lady, full of life, and just brought happiness to everyone. Everyone loved her. She loved to cook and clean, would work like better than some people I know.
She and her husband, John Moran, worked for the Toronto District School Board for 30 years. Nagy as a caretaker and Moran as a carpenter. The pair also had property in Malindi, Kenya, where for the last 20 years, they'd bring things like clothes and sporting equipment to the village.
They bought property in Kenya and built a beautiful home and planted all kinds of trees and helped the locals. You know, you can't help everyone, but whoever they can help, they did.
The crash happened just before 9 last night. The couple was riding their e-scooters home. Moran and Nagy went different directions when he went to pick a few things up from the store. Shortly after that, she was struck in the intersection at Goddard Street and Codsdale Avenue. Police say the driver fled the scene.
It's so horrible and so irresponsible for the driver to do that. I mean, at least stop and, you know, a minute matters for accidents like this.
Toronto police tracked the suspected driver down. 81-year-old Joan Andrews is facing 2 charges, leaving the scene of an accident causing death and dangerous operation.
We're supposed to be capable adults who make decisions well, based on logic and on mind, not on gut.
This afternoon, friends and local residents began bringing flowers to the intersection, honoring a woman who spent her life helping others.
Allison Hurst with that report. A school board's shortfall is stirring up some serious questions. Coming up, why the province is at odds with the Thames Valley School Board over its $32 million deficit.
I'm Heather Centerin talking about women in aviation. A new study at the University of Waterloo better under pressure using eye tracking technology and a flight simulator. That story is just ahead.
Very comfortable conditions overnight to celebrate our last day of July. I'll have more details of what August looks like coming up.
A $32 million deficit at the Thames Valley District School Board is raising serious questions, not just about spending, but about how Ontario funds public education. The province calls it mismanagement. The board says it's underfunding, and critics say it is both. CTV's Rita Ismail reports.
Ontario Education Minister Paul Calandra says he's disappointed after learning Thames Valley District School Board is now projecting a $32 million deficit for the current trustee-approved budget. That's nearly double the initial estimate. The report says due to declining enrollment, there will be staffing reductions across the organization, and surplus land sales will be considered to reduce the budget deficit. In part, the 88-page budget report reads, TVDSB is in a structural deficit position as a result of an imbalance in revenue and expenditures, as opposed to an imbalance based on one-off or short-term factors. As such, difficult decisions and prioritization of resources are required. Back in April, the Ontario government appointed a supervisor, Paul Boniferro, to oversee TVDSB due to concerns about financial mismanagement. This action was taken in response to an audit revealing financial irregularities and a multi-million-dollar deficit. Former TVDSB board chair Beth Mai says it's clear that what happened this past year with the senior administrative retreat, for which funds were repaid, is indicative of inappropriate spending. But she warns the deeper issue is a structural deficit caused by insufficient provincial funding. In a statement to CTV News, Mai says the minister's focus on school board scandals, whose financial implications pale in comparison to the province's funding issues, feels inauthentic, like a distraction from the root causes of school board funding crisis, which lies squarely at his feet. Meantime, critics say both government and senior management are responsible for the ballooning board budget. Education analyst and researcher Debbie Kassman says there is a funding problem impacting every school board in the province, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. Kassman writes the provincial government needs to eliminate the role of school board trustee entirely and enhance parental involvement committees that should continue to be mandatory in every school board across the province, operate in an advisory capacity, and support and enhance parent engagement at the board level while enhancing student achievement and well-being. All school board budgets were due today. Updates on the board's financial recovery plan will be released in the coming months. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
Premier Ford says he's working with Canadian telecom providers to secure reliable internet access for remote First Nations after axing the province's $100 million contract with Elon Musk's Starlink.
I had meetings with them actually last week and saying, hey, we got to get moving on this. And it's unfortunate we had to cancel that, but I can't deal with a guy that, well, I guess the divorce happened between him and Trump, but the guy was attacking our country, and I just couldn't do it.
The contract was first announced last year with a goal of improving internet access in northern and rural Ontario. But the deal came under fire amid trade tensions with the U.S., especially while Musk was serving in the Trump administration. Premier Ford says the province will pursue new internet deals with other providers. Local research is giving us new insight tonight on women in aviation. A University of Waterloo study using technology to challenge gender biases found that female pilots perform better under pressure. CTV's Heather Senerin looking into this for us now. Heather, aviation traditionally has been considered a male-dominated field.
And that's why the lead author of this study says the findings are exciting, Tony. She says it pushes us to rethink aviation. Participants in this study were given the same information during a mock flight. Turns out the female student pilots performed more consistently and accurately in how they responded to a mock emergency. Preksha Shah is in her happy place.
For me personally, I'm a very adrenaline junkie, so I love flying, and it's also just really cool.
While this is a high-fidelity flight simulator, the aviation student has been in the cockpit of the real deal, too.
And the end goal, I definitely want to be like a commercial airline pilot.
Shah is one of 20 participants in a study at the University of Waterloo using the simulator.
We have data that challenges traditional assumptions in aviation these days, and that's kind of groundbreaking to be able to have this evidence to support the fact that, women belong in this industry.
For the study, participants with the same experience wore eye-tracking glasses and completed standard flight tasks, but with a twist. An unexpected total engine failure.
I was immediately able to be like, okay, we've had an engine failure and the runway's right there. Now I just need to land.
As calmly and as safely as possible.
And then maneuver the plane to said space where they could land the plane and let the air traffic controllers know that there was a mayday, there's an emergency on board.
The lead author of the study says women may be better at keeping control and making decisions in stressful flight scenarios.
Female participants were able to manage that much better in these high-stress scenarios versus those male pilots who ended up having a little bit more error with respect to, say, things like the airspeed they were trying to control while coming down from this engine failure and safely landing the plane.
Highlighting the importance of looking beyond surface level indicators when measuring pilot performance.
Only 6 to 7% of airline pilots are women. And that's a tremendous challenge when you think about there not being enough pilots in the system, and how do we attract and retain a workforce to support the future.
The team hopes their findings will help shape what the industry looks for pilots of the future. As to why did females perform better, that isn't so clear-cut. The lead author says there's no tie to distinct gender differences that have been shown in the neurocognitive research because it's just too complex of a task tied to a specific type of mental capability. She says the main takeaway is these findings can be integrated in current training protocols for future pilots. Tony.
Okay, some fascinating local research. Heather Senerin, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And let's take it live outside now to St. Jacobs on this Thursday evening. As we were mentioning a little bit earlier, a little bit hazy out there. We do have that advisory up concerning wildfire smoke, so that is something to be mindful of. But boy, oh boy, these temperatures, if the smoke isn't too much of a problem at the time, sure feel a lot fresher than it did earlier this month. Some relief from the humidity. Ashley Bacon's back with us in just a couple of seconds with your long-range forecast. Also ahead. A plea for support from Waterloo Regional Police. We're going to check in on this year's backpack challenge to get kids ready for back to school. But next, a looming deadline for a Canada-U.S. trade deal, the clock ticking to tomorrow as Canadians brace for the impact.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
We are back. Ashley Bacon's here. We're both kind of in our summer color palette today.
You know, sometimes it was a little gloomy out there, not as sunny because of the haze. You gotta bring the brightness in other ways.
You have to.
This is how I'm doing it.
I love it. I love the lilac.
Thank you.
But I will say, as far as silver linings go, because we've had to deal with this smoke situation kind of on and off throughout the summer, boy, was it ever nice to walk out of here last night and feel that fresh blast of cooler air.
Absolutely. I sat out on my patio for a little longer than I would last night, just to enjoy it, because
Yes.
as you mentioned earlier in the show, it was just too hot to do so earlier this month, and you know, we aren't out of the woods yet in regards to beautiful summer weather, but as you said, enjoy the cooler temperatures while they last, because they're on their way.
There's something for everyone
There
this
is,
summer, at least.
absolutely.
We can agree on that.
And certainly maybe some precipitation in the works, but not for this long weekend, Tony. But first, let's take a look outside at St. Jacobs. You can see that haze we were talking about a little earlier in the show. It is going to continue to linger for the next few hours and into this evening, but the hope is that it'll clear out for the long weekend. I hope you all are enjoying your Thursday and final day of July. You know, it has, as Tony mentioned, been a wild weather summer. Very hot conditions, but also very humid. And today, no different. There is a special air quality statement in effect. That's due to the wildfires out west pushing that smoke and haze into our region. And as I mentioned, will continue to do so for the next few hours or so. What you want to look out for is sore eyes, nose and throat irritation, of course, headaches and coughing. If that is the case, make sure you do take care. Now, looking at our futurecast, we can see a bound of cloud cover over Kitchener-Waterloo this evening. Now, as we get into overnight conditions, there will be a little bit of cloud cover, but overall conditions are not bad if you want to be out and about. Tomorrow, sunny conditions. That's no cloud cover expected, and into Saturday, similar. Might be a little bit of cloud cover, but no precipitation yet in the forecast for your long weekend. So it will be a good one. Right now, we're sitting at 23 degrees in Kitchener-Waterloo. Now, that is a little bit lower than our regular high for this time of year, which is 26 degrees. So feeling a little bit more fresh and comfortable. Looking at our almanac, we actually reached 23. As you saw, our projected high was 22, so well below seasonal. Back in 2007, 32.9. So it could be a lot hotter. Enjoy the cool weather while you can. Now, tonight's going to be great for sleeping conditions. 12-degree low. You definitely can open up your windows, maybe turn the AC off and just get a light breeze into your homes. It will be summer-like conditions Friday to start off your weekend. 24 degrees, mainly sunny with a very high UV index. So you want to be sun safe. Make sure you pack your hats and sunscreen. Looking at our 7-day forecast in Waterloo region, those sunny conditions continuing through the weekend and into Monday, with a bit of cloud cover returning for Monday and continuing into next week. Definitely looks like a beautiful start to August. In Lambton, Kent, Essex, similar conditions for your region as well. Sunny on Friday, a high of 24 degrees, sunny, and 26 on Saturday. And that sun and cloud combination continuing Sunday through the rest of the work week there. And finally, in southern Georgian Bay, again, very beautiful conditions, below seasonal on Friday, but sunshine and high UV. So even though it's cooler out there, again, wear a hat, bring some sunscreen, and the temperature will still soar for your Saturday, Sunday, and into next week. Overall, very beautiful August start. Now, take a look at this Weather Watcher picture, Tony. I love this photo.
Cool.
This was sent in from Richard in Ayr, and I just think it reminds me a bit of Lord of the Rings with the little mushrooms on the front there and the wood pile, but it's just beautiful.
That's a really cool perspective. Yeah, I never really got onto that series, but I think I kind of know what you mean with that reference.
You know, just a little bit of fairy folklore, let's call it.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I just thought, I saw this picture, Richard, you sent it in, and I just saw it and fell in love with it. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
And you know, the headline I'm drawing from this whole conversation is, you just reminded me, August begins in 5.5 hours.
Yes, I know. Enjoy summer while we can.
We have to.
Yes.
Time's ticking. All right, thanks, Ash.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of time ticking, that trade deadline for that new deal with the U.S. is also just hours away, and so is a looming tariff increase. U.S. President Trump set to sign new executive orders today, including for Canada, which brings a 35% tariff on goods not compliant with the current Canada-U.S.-Mexico deal. CTV's Jeremy Charon now with the race to the finish line on this one. Jeremy.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced today a 90-day extension to negotiate a new deal on tariffs. Canada doesn't have a deal yet, and there is no indication so far we'll get the same extension.
We haven't spoken to Canada today. He's called, and we'll we'll see. But we have made a few deals today that are excellent deals for the country.
A similar agreement would, of course, help Canada, though. Experts have said the Carney government shouldn't be rushing to get a deal done, as the CUSMA deal already in place gives Canada a better starting point than most. And today, a sign of encouragement for Canada's aluminum sector. In the wake of Ford Motor Company reporting a substantial hit from tariffs, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told CNBC today that Ford relies heavily on aluminum, and Washington will take that into account at the negotiating table.
I believe that the Ford, F-150, 250, their big truck series is made out of aluminum instead of steel, which is different than other cars. So I think maybe the aluminum tariffs have hit them harder. We will be negotiating with Canada on those.
As it stands, Canada faces an increased tariff of 35% on goods not covered under CUSMA as of tomorrow. Now, most countries that have so far landed a tariff deal with Trump have faced a baseline lower tariff of 15% across the board. Some experts have suggested if Canada can get the same, but only on non-CUSMA products, it would be seen as a win. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
Jeremy, thank you. And there is another angle to this story. Trump has linked Canada's pledge to recognize Palestinian statehood with the ongoing trade talks. Now, here's CTV's Abigail Beeman with more on that.
News Canada intends to recognize Palestinian statehood lands with hope on the streets of Gaza. This teacher thanks Canada and feels the world is beginning to wake up.
The level of human suffering in Gaza is intolerable, and it's rapidly deteriorating.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister posted this photo saying Canadian aid is beginning to enter Gaza and thanking Jordan for facilitating an airdrop. Fighting over what falls, Gazans say airdropped food is like a dog chasing a bone. The U.S.'s special envoy landed in Jerusalem, while the president mixed foreign policy and trade, posting in the middle of the night, Canada's decision will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, apostrophe, Canada.
This is just Trump trying to use yet another tactic to put pressure on Canada. And I'm frankly very proud that the Prime Minister and his government made that decision, even though no doubt somebody was telling them that this could impact the trade negotiations.
I think the government is putting the cart before the horse here.
The Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs is concerned the government didn't tie its conditions to the release of hostages or the immediate removal of Hamas, worried it will embolden the terrorist group.
Conceivably, we're going to have Canada recognize a Palestinian state where Gaza is still under the control of Hamas, and innocent Israelis are still being held hostages in the terror dungeons of Gaza.
CJA says there is increased fear and concern in the Canadian Jewish community in the wake of the government's decision, fear of even more anti-Jewish hate and attacks. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Turning now to health news. If you thought this allergy season seemed worse, some doctors say that is because it is, and that climate change is driving the increase in severity.
We also should not forget that when you have allergic rhinitis and pollen allergy, it can also flare asthma. And asthma can be a severe disease that is also associated with fatality. So it is expected that asthma flares will become more severe as the allergy season will intensify.
People with seasonal allergies are expected, or encouraged, I should say, to explore different treatment options with doctors. Well, age is just a number, except when it comes to car rentals. Still ahead, Pat Foran looks at the rental restrictions drivers can run into when borrowing a ride. An Oakville man ran into some car rental trouble while visiting family in BC. He claims he wasn't allowed to rent a vehicle because of his age. CTV's Pat Foran has his story.
My whole mission in this is just to let people know.
Carol Ann and John Jenisak of Oakville recently visited with family in British Columbia. Before they left, they made sure to book a rental car. But when they got to the rental counter in Victoria, they got a surprise.
When John handed her his driver's license, she said, "Oh dear, I'm sorry, but we can't rent to you because you're over 79, which we had never heard of before.
Carol Ann was still 79 for another 3 months, so luckily she was able to rent the car as long as she did the driving, and John, who is 85, didn't get behind the wheel. The couple says the situation could have been worse.
If you had a trip arranged and you put the deposits on hotels, that could be quite costly.
The Genesacks rented a car with National Car Rental, whose parent company is Enterprise Mobility. A spokesperson told CTV News the National Car Rental branch in Victoria, BC, sets its own policies and procedures. Their age requirements for rental are outlined on their website under Key Facts and Policies when you begin a reservation. Every rental company is different, and some don't have age restrictions, but some do. You could be denied a rental car if you're over 79 years of age, over 70 outside of Canada, if you're younger than 21 or 25 years old, if you have limited driving experience, have a bad credit rating, if you don't present a valid driver's license, or you don't have the proper form of payment. Most rental companies won't accept cash without a credit card on file. Last year, CTV News did a story with Brian Barnard of Etobicoke, who was denied a car rental because he wanted to pay with a prepaid credit card.
It was frustrating to go all the way there and then to be told that, you won't take my form of payment.
If you're planning to rent a car, you'll want to check the fine print to make sure your trip goes as planned.
CTV's Pat Foran with that report. Well, back to school is just over a month away, and Waterloo Regional Police are looking for a little help with their effort to help more students have what they need for the big day. It seems this year's backpack challenge is proving a little more challenging than usual. Now, this is an initiative that collects donations of backpacks and supplies from the community and businesses. This year, Regional Police hoping to collect 5,000 backpacks, but they are well shy of that right now, having collected around 1,200 so far.
It really sets kids up to start the school year focused, confident, proud, and excited to go through the school year and really make that school year a success.
But it is not over yet. If you would like to donate backpacks, school supplies, and gift cards, you can drop them off at police headquarters in Cambridge or any of the 3 police divisions in Waterloo Region. All right, soaking up a sunny show of support later on CTV News. How a farm in central Ontario is honoring one of its employees, one sunflower at a time. Summer Macintosh has won a 3rd gold medal at the World Aquatics Championship in Singapore. The 18-year-old is on a quest to win 5 golds at the event, matching that record set by the legendary Michael Phelps. Here's CTV's John Venavali-Rao.
Summer Macintosh looking for gold medal number 3.
As the swimming sensation made her way to the pool, half a world away in her hometown, these young swimmers gathered to watch.
She's in there, she's ready to race, so hoping for the best. I think she'll do well.
And sure enough, Macintosh didn't disappoint.
Look at Macintosh go!
Winning the 200-meter butterfly and missing the world record by just 0.2 of a second. Visibly frustrated by that.
I didn't reach my goal tonight, but happy with the gold, happy with the win, and just gonna keep pushing forward.
Macintosh is looking strong.
Already she's won 3 golds in individual events and has her sights on scooping up 5 at a single World Swimming Championship, a feat that's only ever been pulled off by megastar Michael Phelps.
Crazy. She's like a literal machine. Pretty cool.
Here she comes! Just last month at the Canadian Swimming Trials in BC, Macintosh set 3 world records. And she's also a 3-time Olympic champion and inspiring the next generation of swimmers.
Her accomplishments are Canadian accomplishments. Like, it means everything to her and everything to us. She's truly one of a kind. Just to see how she just seems to glide on top of the water.
Isn't she amazing? If all goes well, she'll try for that next gold on Saturday, competing in the 800-meter freestyle, a highly anticipated event because she'll go up against Katie Ledecky, the current world record holder.
This is going to be like the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup of swimming this summer. This event is going to be epic. It's the one that a lot of people are really looking forward to watching.
And if she wins on Saturday, she'll go for that 5th goal on Sunday, competing in the 400-meter individual medley. John Venavali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Eugenie Bouchard played her final match at the National Bank Open in Montreal.
That's wide. And that is the end of Eugenie Bouchard's career. Everyone stands up.
Bouchard lost a 3-set thriller in Montreal. Before the event, she said this would be her last and she'd be ending her professional career in front of home fans. Well, the Blue Jays have the day off today, but not the people in the front office ahead of the trade deadline. They've made a big splash, adding some big-time pitching help. The Jays have acquired starter Shane Bieber from the Cleveland Guardians. The Guardians will reportedly receive pitching prospect Cal Steven in the deal. MLB Pipeline listing Steven as the Jays' #5 pitching prospect. Bieber, meanwhile, has yet to pitch this season after recovering from elbow surgery a year ago. The 30-year-old won a Cy Young during the 2020 pandemic-shortened season. And some late news just in, the Jays have made another trade, acquiring right-hand pitcher Louis Varland and first baseman Ty France from the Twins in exchange for Alan Roden and Kendry Rojas. And the rumor mill is buzzing after a very notable fan, a former prime minister, was spotted at Katy Perry's concert last night in Montreal. Justin Trudeau was in the crowd at Bell Centre Wednesday night, taking in the pop star's Lifetime's tour stop. It comes just days after the two were seen having dinner at a posh Montreal restaurant. TMZ posting this video of Trudeau and Perry, who recently split from her husband Orlando Bloom, sharing a meal before going for a stroll, and that of course sparked all kinds of rumors. Okay, let's check in now with Marcia McMillan.
Tonight, deal or no deal?
We haven't spoken to Canada today. He's called, and we'll see.
What's at stake as time runs out to strike a last-minute trade agreement with the U.S.? That story and more later on CTV National News.
It's shaping up to be a beautiful start to your long weekend and the start of August. I'll have those details coming up after this break. A big night of entertainment starting with E-Talk at 7, followed by back-to-back episodes of The Big Bang Theory and The Rookie from 9 to 11.
It's Jeff, KP, and Backstage Ben in the morning.
3 awesome people that want to start your day or finish your overnight shift.
You'll laugh, you'll text, you'll call, you'll scratch your head, and maybe even beat Backstage Ben. Weekday mornings from 5:30 to 10.
Listen live on the iHeartRadio app or at 105.3 Virgin Radio.
We're almost there, the finish line.
I know, it's the light at the end of the news tunnel.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been a long day. But Ashley's back with a look at our forecast.
Yes.
And the good news is we've got some nice evening air to cool off with outside.
Absolutely. It's going to be a very enjoyable evening. Of course, there's still a little bit of haze to be wary about. So if you're someone who has any sort of lung conditions, be careful if you are out for an extended period of time. But the temperature is going to be very comfortable. Overnight, about 12 degrees. But by the time we wake up in the morning, Tony, that sun will be shining. Starting at 6 a.m., 14, and by 10, 20. So shaping up to be a beautiful start to not just August 1st, but the long weekend. And it certainly marks that middle way of summer.
Oh, no.
I know.
Don't remind me.
I know.
You're right, though. You're right.
It's getting there.
I don't even want to think about Labor Day weekend yet. So let's,
please
let's just keep this, this long weekend in our immediate sight.
Absolutely.
Well, the owners of a farm out near Brucefield are honoring one of their employees who's currently going through a serious health battle.
Rose Shattuck was diagnosed with ALS back in August 2024. CTV's Scott Miller has more on the show of support taking up a whole farmer's field.
Rose Shattuck and her family are soaking up the yellow glow of thousands of sunflowers planted in Rose's honor.
I grew sunflowers every year and had a contest with a neighbor, so this makes me very happy.
Rose lost the use of her voice shortly after being diagnosed with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, last year. Since 1998, Shattuck has worked for Clausen Farms near Brucefield as a financial coordinator. But over time, she became more than just someone who helped with their family finances.
Well, she became a friend to the family. She's very close, and she has done a lot to us. And this mean disease is really devastating, and we really didn't know what else to do and to help her and support her.
So the Clausens created Rose's Garden on their farm, more than an acre of sunflowers for people to come and pick and take pictures with as a fundraiser for the ALS Society of Canada.
It's really nice seeing all the cars stopping by and getting in and really picking flowers. Sometimes I go here and let them know, please also pick some, just don't be shy and enjoy them. Yeah, and sunflowers just make you smile.
The field of sunflowers in her name was more than Rose could have asked for from the Clausens, who hold a special place in her heart as well.
It means a lot to me for ALS research. We just did a walk and raised $8,000, and this just makes it better, and Clausens mean a lot to me.
Donations from the sunflower field have been flowing in, surpassing the $2,000 the Clausens will match, for a minimum donation in Rose's honor of more than $4,000 to the ALS Society of Canada.
People have been donating, which is really nice to see, and also just the messages that we've been getting online is very heartwarming and very touching. Like people telling their stories about like how they have a relative with ALS. And
Rose's Garden can be found on the Clausens farm on Airport Line near Brucefield. In Huron County, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Just a beautiful gesture, you know, for a family going through such a difficult period. And I think sunflowers really embody something beautiful, something hopeful, and something
bright.
Nice.
It creates a light in a way.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful story from out in Brucefield. Thank you to Scott Miller for that report. All right, that does it for us tonight. Thank you so much for checking in with us. News anytime at ctvnewskitchener.ca, and we'll be back here tomorrow night. Sorry, we'll be back here tonight.
So close, Tony. So close.
At 11:30, right after CTV National News. Have a good one. I will not be here tomorrow.